They called my name. I walked across the stage, smiled for the camera, took the degree I spent 6 damn years earning, and when I turned to look at the crowd, every single one of the 6 seats I'd saved sat empty. My name's Eric Blake. I'm 52 now. But this was 2 years ago, at the University of Portland, my MBA graduation day. I should have felt like I just won the Super Bowl. I should have seen my wife Monica, our kids, her mom, my sister, clapping, cheering, snapping pictures like everyone else's families were. Instead, I stood there in a rented cap and gown, holding my degree like a damn idiot, while strangers hugged their people, took selfies, cried tears of joy. I wasn't expecting a marching band, but I sure as hell wasn't expecting to stand there completely alone either. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going, and where are you joining from? I tried to tell myself there had to be a reason. A car breakdown, a last-minute emergency, but my phone buzzed right then. A single word lit up the screen. Urgent. From Monica. That word used to mean something. When we were younger, urgent meant someone was in the hospital, or something happened to the kids. It didn't mean, sorry, we didn't feel like showing up for the biggest day of your life. I didn't even open the message. I just stood there on the campus lawn, surrounded by 1,000 people celebrating, and I might as well have been the only one there. I held my phone in one hand, the degree in the other, and stared at those 6 empty chairs. Even my sister didn't show. It wasn't just the no-show. It was the fact that nobody even called. Not a single text saying, hey, we're stuck in traffic. No apology, no excuse. Just silence and one vague, urgent message I couldn't even look at yet. I kept scanning the crowd like an idiot. Maybe they were late. Maybe they were hiding with balloons. But no. Ceremony ended. People flooded the lawn, hugs everywhere, balloons, flowers, happy tears. I stood still, like furniture. 6 years of work, 6 years of juggling night classes, a full-time job, 2 teenagers, and a wife who supported me by not asking questions when I disappeared into my office every evening. And when it came time to celebrate what I'd earned, not one of them showed up. If you've ever been gutted by your own people on the day you needed them most, you already know what that moment feels like. I finally looked at my phone, took a breath, opened the message. Then I turned and walked straight off the lawn without saying a word to anyone. I didn't go straight home after the ceremony. Drove around for almost an hour before I finally pulled into a parking lot behind my old office building. Just sat there, staring at the place where all this started. I'd worked 18 years at Summit Ridge Logistics, never called in sick, showed up early, stayed late, trained the new hires, covered shifts, solved problems that weren't even mine. My title never changed, always just Eric in operations. One day, about 7 years ago, my boss Gil sat me down, told me I was being passed over, again. Said, Eric, you're solid, everyone likes you, but we're looking for leaders now, people with credentials. I asked, what do you mean credentials? He leaned back like he was doing me a favor. An MBA, that's the difference maker these days. You want a shot at managing your own team? That's the next step. I left his office with my jaw clenched so hard I could feel it in my temples. I drove home that day knowing exactly what I was going to do. Told Monica at dinner. She barely looked up from her plate. Are you sure you can handle all that? With work and the kids? I said, I can handle it. I enrolled the next week, took night classes 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. My schedule turned into a machine. Up at 5, at work by 7:30, off by 5, on campus by 6, home by 9:40. Eat, shower, crash, repeat. Vacations disappeared. Weekends turned into study marathons. I stopped watching games with Ryan, stopped helping Grace with homework. Monica covered everything at home. At first she said it was fine, that she understood. Then came the jabs. You're never around anymore. The kids barely see you. Do you really need to study every Saturday? I brushed it off, told myself it was just stress. She was doing more, sure, but I was doing this for all of us. What hurt the most came from Ryan. One night, I overheard him say to Monica, Dad's always locked away in that office. It's like we don't have a dad anymore. I didn't sleep that night, but I didn't quit either. I missed Grace's 13th birthday dinner because I had a final. Monica texted, no worries, we'll FaceTime you after cake. They didn't. I found out later they started early because Grace's friend had to leave. There were nights I'd pull into the driveway and see lights off in the kids' rooms. missed bedtime again. I'd sit there in the car, just staring at the windshield, asking myself if this was even worth it. Then I'd think about Gil's smug face and get out of the car. Some days, Monica would hand me dinner in a Tupperware container like I was a guest in my own house. No words, just a sigh and a tight smile. I tried to fix it. Set alarms to remind me of Grace's choir concert. Left work early for Ryan's JV game once. But I showed up late, caught the last 10 minutes. Ryan wouldn't even look at me afterward. I kept telling myself, once I finish, they'll understand. It'll all be worth it. One night around midterms, I passed out on the floor of my office. Monica found me at 2 a.m., books spread everywhere, my laptop buzzing on low battery. She stood in the doorway and said, "This can't be healthy, Eric." I said, "It's temporary." She said, "It's been 4 years. 6, actually." But who was counting? I stopped expecting encouragement, started running on fumes and stubbornness. I wasn't doing this for applause anymore. I was doing it because I refused to be passed over one more time. So, yeah, maybe I missed a lot. But I was building something, and I figured once I crossed that stage, they'd all see that. That's what made the empty chairs hit the way they did. I didn't need balloons. I just needed my damn people to show up. I started the car, pulled out of the lot. One hand on the wheel, one on the degree sitting in the passenger seat. I'd given everything for this. Everything. And now, I had to decide what the hell I was going to do next. I pulled into our driveway and saw Doug's name on my phone screen. Let it go to voicemail. Wasn't in the mood. Doug was the golden boy, 2 years older. Ran his own home building business out of Bend. Made more money, had more toys, and somehow still acted like he needed more attention than the rest of us combined. No kids, no real responsibilities, just him, his truck, and a boat that never left his driveway unless there was an audience. Growing up, it was Doug's games they always showed up for. His track meets, his championships, his school plays. Me? Sorry, honey, maybe next time. There was always a maybe next time with me. That pattern didn't change after we grew up. Doug would call and say, "Hey, thinking of stopping by." And my parents would drop everything. I'd ask them for a hand fixing the garage door. "Sorry, sweetie, we're a little tied up this week." They always had something going on when it came to me. Monica noticed it. I remember once after Thanksgiving, I was cleaning up while my mom was gushing about Doug's new kitchen remodel. I didn't say a word. Monica walked past and whispered, "They don't even realize they're doing it." I said, "They do. They just don't care." Doug didn't even bother pretending anymore. He leaned into it. Big family dinners, he'd show up late and get the biggest plate. My dad would stand up and say, "There he is, the boss himself." I'd be across the table like I didn't even exist. What really set me off was how casual they were when I told them about my graduation date. I called them months in advance, gave them the details, time, location. My mom said, "We'll try our best to come." Try meant no. 2 weeks later, Doug group texted everyone. "Hey, BBQ at my place, June 3rd, big one, pool's open, let's party." That was my graduation day. Didn't even hesitate. My dad replied within 5 minutes. "Sounds great, we'll be there." I showed the text to Monica. She frowned and said, "You should tell them how that feels." I said, "What's the point? It's always been like this." She didn't argue, just walked out of the room. A couple days later, I asked my mom straight up if she was planning on coming to my graduation or heading to Doug's. She said, "Well, sweetie, we committed to Doug's BBQ before we knew about yours." Bullshit. I'd told them way before. "He's already invited so many people," she added. "And you know how he gets when we cancel." I stared at the wall, gripping the phone so hard my knuckles popped. So that was the order. Doug's ribs and pool party over my 6-year climb out of obscurity. The sad part? I wasn't even shocked. 3 weeks before graduation, Doug finally decided to call me directly. "Big BBQ at my place June 3rd, he said, like it was breaking news. "Pool's ready, new smoker. Gonna be wild. Bring the kids." I leaned against the kitchen counter, kept my voice steady. "That's the day of my graduation, Doug." He paused for half a second. "Oh yeah, forgot." "Think you can move the date?" He laughed. "Come on, man. It's just a degree. You already got a job. This is just paper and handshakes." I didn't say anything right away. I just looked out the window, stared at our half-dead lawn, and let the silence build. Then I hung up. A couple hours later, Monica got home from work. She was humming something under her breath. keys jingling in one hand, iced coffee in the other. I asked, "You know Doug scheduled his BBQ on the same day as my graduation?" She gave me a look I didn't like, a mix of "so what" and "don't start." "Yeah, he mentioned it," she said, setting her drink down. "Said it's a big one this year. Said you might bring the kids." She froze for a split second, then tried to play it off. "I told him maybe, only if you were okay with it." "So that's a real question now?" I said. "Whether or not it's okay to take our kids to a pool party instead of their dad's graduation?" "They're teenagers, Eric. Sitting in a 3-hour ceremony isn't exactly their dream Saturday." I stepped toward her. "This isn't about their dream Saturday. It's about showing up." Her voice sharpened. "I'm just trying to keep them from being miserable. You know how Grace gets with crowds." "No," I said. "I know how you get when something's not about you." She flinched. "Excuse me? You're picking Doug's backyard beer fest over something I've worked 6 years for. Don't act like that's reasonable." She crossed her arms. "You're being dramatic. It's just a ceremony." That stopped me cold. "Just a ceremony?" She didn't look away, didn't apologize, just stood there, arms folded like a wall between us. That moment shifted something. I didn't yell, didn't throw anything. I just stared at her, long and hard. "You didn't even fight for it," I said quietly. Her jaw clenched. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I expected my wife to say, 'We'll be there, no question.' Not, 'maybe, if he's okay with it.'" She didn't answer, just walked past me and started unloading the dishwasher. I went into the hallway and sat on the bottom stair. Tried to breathe, but everything inside me was clenching tight. My chest, my throat, my fists. That night, she came into the bedroom and acted like nothing happened. Brushed her teeth, scrolled her phone, got under the covers. I lay awake for hours. That was the moment I realized we weren't on the same team anymore. Hadn't been for a while. She'd stopped seeing my efforts as sacrifices, and started seeing them as annoyances. I kept thinking about the nights I came home exhausted, and she didn't ask how class went. The mornings, she didn't even look up when I left for work. I thought I was building something for us. She thought I was building something for me, and maybe that was the biggest crack of all. I still got up that morning, shaved, ironed my shirt, put on the suit I'd been saving for that day. The one Monica said made me look like someone who finally got out of the mailroom. They needed the car for the other plans, so I called a cab. Driver asked what I was dressed up for. I said, "Graduation." He whistled and said, "Congrats, man." That one sentence hit harder than anything I'd heard at home all week. I kept looking out the window during the ride, thinking maybe I'd get a text, something like, "We changed our minds, we're coming." But nothing buzzed, just the low hum of traffic and the slow crawl toward the campus. I got there early, sat alone on the benches near the quad, watching other families show up. Banners, balloons, crying moms. There was this kid next to me whose entire extended family had matching shirts with his face printed on them. All I had was a prepaid dinner reservation at Millstone's, $250 down. Table for 8. I kept picturing the waiter asking where everyone was. I already knew I wasn't going. They called my name. I walked the stage. Smile, handshake, fake cheer from some volunteer clapping for everyone. I turned to face the crowd and scanned the rows. Not one familiar face, not Monica, not Ryan, not Grace, not my parents, not Doug, just me in that stiff-ass suit, holding a degree that cost me 6 years of missed memories. After the ceremony, I wandered the lawn for a minute, watching people cry and pose and hold each other like it was the best day of their lives. I checked my phone. One message from Monica. "Ryan scraped his leg on the deck. Minor, but we'll be late." Late to what? It was already over. I sat on a bench just off the main walkway, watched the crowd thin out, checked the message again. My hands were shaking. I wasn't even sure if it was anger or disappointment anymore. Probably both. I opened social media. Shouldn't have, but I did. They'd posted photos. Doug's backyard. Monica with a drink in her hand. Ryan and Grace roasting marshmallows by the fire pit. Big smiles. Zero guilt. The caption, "Summer Kickoff." Not a single mention of me. That was the gut punch. Not just that they didn't come, but that they didn't even pretend to care. Like I didn't exist. Like this thing I worked myself into the ground for meant nothing. Like my name didn't even register that day. I deleted the app, stood up, walked off campus without saying a word to anyone. Didn't go to Millstones, didn't call home. Just kept walking until I found a gas station and bought a lukewarm sandwich and a root beer. Sat outside on the curb in my suit, biting into that sad sandwich like it was my graduation cake. A couple walking past gave me a weird look. The guy asked if I was okay. Yeah, I said, just celebrating. I was halfway through that gas station root beer when my phone rang. Monica. I didn't answer. It buzzed again, this time a text. Eric, we're at Memorial Hospital. Ryan broke his wrist. He fell. I'm sorry. I just sat there, read it twice, then got up, threw the sandwich in the trash, and walked back to the main road. Called another cab. Didn't even take the suit jacket off. When I walked into the ER, they were all there. Monica, Grace, my parents, and of course Doug, sitting like he was hosting the damn waiting room. Ryan was in a sling, his face pale but calm. They all looked up when I walked in. Ryan's eyes lit up. Dad, you came. I crossed the room and dropped to one knee beside him, hugged him tight. Of course I did. His good hand gripped my shoulder like he wasn't ready to let go. Then I looked up, past him, and locked eyes with Monica. She stood up. Eric, I cut her off. You all missed my graduation. I said it loud, clear, for the entire room to hear. Every single one of you. Grace froze. My mom's hand went to her chest like I'd insulted the Pope. Doug leaned forward like he was about to say something, but I wasn't done. My dad stood. This isn't the time, son. I turned to him. When would be? You went to Doug's BBQ. Did you even remember what today was? His mouth opened, then shut. Nothing came out. Doug looked around, shrugged like it wasn't his fault. Look, man, it was just bad timing. Shut up, Doug. I didn't yell, didn't need to. My voice cut through the room sharper than volume ever could. Monica stepped forward, her voice low. Eric, we didn't plan for this to happen. No, you planned to be somewhere else. And you were, with hot dogs and fire pits while I stood on stage alone. Ryan tugged my sleeve. Dad, it hurts. I turned back to him. I know, bud. They'll take care of it soon. A nurse came by and wheeled him off for imaging. I waited until he was gone before I looked at Monica again. I'm not going home tonight. She blinked. What? I booked the hotel room we were saving for my parents. That's where I'm going. Her voice cracked. You're seriously leaving? Tonight? Yeah, tonight. She stepped in closer, lowered her voice like she could negotiate. Eric, this isn't the solution. I'm not looking for solutions, I said. I'm looking for space. Because right now, I don't even know what the hell we are anymore. Her face twisted. For how long? I grabbed my keys from my pocket. As long as it takes to figure out if this is still a marriage, or just a habit. No one followed me out of the ER. No one stopped me. I walked into that hotel room and tossed the suit jacket on the chair, looked around. King bed, quiet, empty. But for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to hold anything together. I sat on the edge of the bed, took off my shoes, and let the silence stretch. No questions, no guilt, just space. Exactly what I needed. I didn't unpack much that first night at the hotel. Just dropped my bag by the desk and collapsed onto the bed. It was quiet, sterile, almost peaceful. No laundry piles, no slammed doors, no one asking me for anything. I stayed 6 days. Every afternoon, I visited Ryan at home, brought snacks, watched shows with him. We laughed. He asked about the hotel once, and I told him I just needed some space. He nodded like he understood, even if he didn't. I didn't talk to Monica except through short texts until the second night. That's when she started calling. The first time, I let it ring. The second time, I picked up. Her voice was low, careful. I just wanted to say, I know how badly I screwed up. I didn't answer. We messed up, she said. I messed up. I let her sit in that silence. I wasn't going to make it easy. The next day, my parents sent flowers to the hotel. The card read, We're proud of you. Sorry we couldn't be there. I didn't even put the flowers in water, just left them on the table. Doug emailed me, said he was sorry if the BBQ caused friction. That word told me everything I needed to know. By day 4, Monica's calls turned from soft to panicked. I don't know what you're thinking, she said. You're scaring me, Eric. I told her. Good. I wasn't trying to punish her. I just finally had space to hear my own thoughts. And what I kept hearing was this. I've spent years making sure everyone else had what they needed, and I'm standing here now with nothing left in the tank. I remembered birthdays I missed, dinners I skipped, sleep I gave up so I could climb a mountain no one else thought was worth noticing. Not anymore. On day 7, I went home. Monica was standing in the kitchen, same counter, same tired look. She didn't run to hug me, didn't start crying, just stood there, waiting. I dropped my bag by the door. "I'm not here for apologies," I said. "I'm here for changes." She nodded. "Okay. I want balance. I want respect. And I'm done being the default parent." Her lips parted like she was about to argue. I raised my hand. "I don't want to debate it. You either agree or you don't." She took a breath. "I agree. No more assuming I'll take the hit. No more picking convenience over commitment. You want this marriage? Show up for it." She swallowed hard. "I want it." "Then show up next time," I said. "Not just say you will." I walked past her, went straight to Ryan's room. He was half asleep, headphones on. When he saw me, he smiled like it was the first time he could breathe all week. I sat down next to him, took the headphones off, and said, "Let's get you healed up." And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally starting to get there too. Next morning, we sat down at the table with coffee and notebooks. No yelling, no guilt tripping, just the facts. I wrote house across the top of a blank page. "Let's start with everything that needs to get done weekly." Monica nodded. "Cleaning, laundry, groceries, appointments, school events." I held up a hand. "And you're taking the lead on family planning. School stuff, birthdays, dentist appointments, permission slips, all of it." She didn't push back. "Deal." We agreed to a cleaning service once a week. The kids were old enough to carry their weight now. Dishes, laundry, vacuuming, whatever needed doing. Grace rolled her eyes when we told her, but she did it. Ryan didn't complain once. I stopped being the quiet mule. If something felt off, I said it. If I was overwhelmed, I called it out. No more swallowing things down just to keep the peace. And things started shifting. 2 weeks later, I walked into Gil's office at Summit Ridge. He smiled before I even sat down. "We're moving you up," he said. "Senior logistics manager." I blinked. "Seriously? You earned it. We've seen the growth, not just the degree, but how you've stepped up. New office, better hours." Finally felt like I was being treated like more than a dependable backup. Monica texted me a smiley face and said we should celebrate. I suggested takeout and a movie on the couch. No party, no people, just us. A month after that, Doug hosted a belated congrats thing at his house. Small backyard deal. Burgers, some cousins, cheap banners from Party City. Not my style, but whatever. When I showed up, Doug clapped me on the back. "Didn't think you'd come, man." "Didn't think you'd invite me," I said. He smirked. "Touché." Later in the night, my dad stood up and raised a plastic cup. "I didn't realize how much you were carrying, Eric. You really pulled something off. We're proud." That line hung in the air longer than I expected. I caught Monica watching me from across the yard. I didn't make a speech, didn't need to. I just nodded, let it land. I wasn't chasing their approval anymore. I wasn't begging to be noticed. I just wanted to be seen. And finally, I was. I hung the degree in my new office last week, right above the bookshelf where anyone walking in could see it, not tucked away in a folder, not sitting in a drawer, front and center where it belonged. That afternoon, Monica stopped by with lunch. She stood in the doorway holding 2 deli bags, looked up at the frame and said, "Looks good on you." For the first time, I actually believed she meant it. We ate at the little table by the window. She asked about my team, the new project I'd been assigned. I kept it light. I wasn't trying to make it deep, but there was something different in the way she looked at me, like she finally saw the weight I'd been carrying all those years. Later that night, Grace knocked on my office door at home. "Can you help me with algebra?" I nearly asked if she was serious. "Sure," I said, and slid my laptop aside. She pulled up a chair, dumped her workbook on the desk, and we got to it. 10 minutes in, she looked up and said, "You explain it better than my teacher." It was a small win, but it hit like a trophy. Ryan's been chipping in too, dishes without being asked, helped me with the yard last weekend. No complaints, no eye rolls, just there, showing up. That's all I ever wanted from any of them. I don't know if I've fixed everything. Truth is, I probably haven't. But I fixed my mindset, and that changed more than I thought it would. I stopped asking for support. Now I expect it. And if I don't get it, I don't beg, I don't guilt trip, I keep moving, I show up for myself, and if anyone wants to be in my corner, they can step up or step aside. That day I stood alone at graduation turned out to be the day I finally realized who I was. Not just some dependable husband, or the dad always in the background, or the guy grinding in silence. I'm someone who puts in the work and deserves to be recognized. Never again will I leave my own name off the list. And if someone else does, that's on them.